Thanks for checking out the inaugural episode of my solo speedrunning series, featuring what is likely the fastest Hitmonlee solo run ever recorded. This is Hitmonlee in Pokemon Yellow. Now, this is a solo challenge run, so I'll only be using my starter in battle. No items, no major glitches or exploits. Basically the same rules that Scott's Thoughts is playing on. And we're going to see how fast we can get this thing going. So let's talk about Hitmonlee, and then let's talk about why my goal today is sub 40, which means 40 minutes of real time or less, playing at 4 times game speed. Hitmonlee has 50 hit points, 120 attack. Unfortunately, awful defense, only 53 defense and only 35 special defense, which is a combined stat in Gen 1. So this thing is going to hit like an absolute truck, but it's also going to get hit like a truck. So it's going to be like a derby out there today. I am a father of 2, so these sorts of jokes are allowed. If you get mad about the dad jokes, then, such is life. I would have been mad about the dad jokes, in my 20s or teens, but here I am at 35 and it happens. It happens to the best of us and also to everyone else. Okay, so what's the goal for today? Sub 40. Why do I think I can get there? That's an S tier finish in the Scott's Thoughts tier list, which means it is quite fast. Well, I think that with proper planning, you can mitigate the downsides of Hitmonlee and your low defense and use your upsides, which you have. And you do have a lot of upside with Hitmonlee. 120 base attack is absolutely fantastic. And you start with double kick as well as meditate. So you have a move to increase your attack, which is already huge. And then you can set up, if you can survive long enough to set up, you can set up and to just take out one Pokemon after another, sweep even large teams after you get only 1 or 2 turns of setup. So let's take a quick look at the run summary. And this, if you look up here, yes, there. If you look up here, you'll see that I'm not going to be doing a ton of optional training. My goal is to finish the game fighting the champion at level 60. I'm going to be using a total of 10 rare candies, which is all of them except for the one in the hideout, because I think I can skip that and just do a little bit of optional mid-game training to get me there. So very little training. I'm going to fight Brock on minimum battles. I have the luxury of doing that because I have double kick, which is very nice. By the way, you saw that I ran away from a couple Pidgeys there, then caught the last one. That's because Hitmonlee is so strong that hitting for neutral damage with its opening double kick, which is a stab move and does decent damage, it looks just absolutely pathetic against this Caterpie. You can see that the health is barely chunking down. But against Pidgeys, when it's at least hitting neutrally, you knock out a level 4 Pidgey at level 6. It doesn't even have a chance to survive. So you have to find a level 6 or a level 8 just so you can weaken it and catch it. And we are off to the races here. By the way, we'll talk more about the moveset later in the game, but Meditate's going to be a staple throughout the entire game. It's useful in the beginning and it's useful at the end of the game. If you're familiar with Gen 1 mechanics, you know about the badge boost glitch. Actually, the primary effect of the attack buffing, though, is the primary reason I'm going to be using this. I will be using the badge boost glitch a couple times for speed, but in general, Hitmonlee is actually quite speedy by himself, so I'll rarely even have to use it for that. And there we go, just like that. Brock is down in less than 3 minutes. 2 minutes and 59-second Brock split is a fantastic start. That said, we will be slowing down a little bit through the next section of the game. And the reason for that is that in Gen 1, honestly, fighting is a pretty trash typing for the most part, especially in the early game. There are lots of bug Pokemon, poison Pokemon, flying Pokemon, and then in the mid game, once you get past those, a lot of psychic type Pokemon, and all of those resist fighting moves. So it's going to be really important when we pick up Mega Punch for neutral damage, as well as, more importantly, Body Slam on the SSN a little bit later. You can see that I actually set up 4 Meditates on that Caterpie and Weedle guy, because the Weedle quad resists fighting moves. So I had to set up the +4 just to get reasonable damage ranges to 1-hit the Caterpies and 2-hit the Weedles. Not ideal, but also not the end of the world. We're still chunking along at a pretty quick clip here, and we won't be taking on much optional battles at all. In the early game, I am a big fan of skipping optional battles whenever possible. I think there's this misconception in the solo running community, especially among like the older videos. If you watch some of the older ones by pretty much any of the creators, they'll say things like, when you fight early game training, you get those extra levels, and then there's a snowball effect where you everything's just easier for the rest of the game. What I've found through experience and careful routing is that this is almost never true. There are edge cases where it's good to take on an extra trainer or 2 that you could skip and get away with and not take resets, but those are exactly that, edge cases. In almost every case, if you can get past the fight without a reset, you are going to do it faster if you skip as much training as possible. That extra training takes time. It seems like it would be obvious, but this snowball effect, I think it's been passed around, and it's there's too much credence given to it because it's very rarely true. That said, I will be targeting specific trainers just to get the levels I need for good damage ranges. You see that I'm going to teach Mega Punch here, and then I'm going to fight this guy. This guy is an optional trainer, and he helps a little bit with the next stretch of the game, but the main reason he's in is because he gives me the levels I need for Surge, and these are one hit, so it's really quick training. And Surge, believe it or not, is scary for Hitmonlee. Usually the Raichu's not that scary unless you're a water type, but in this case, we're actually really frail, both with special and with physical defense. So like the Mega Kick and the Mega Punch and stuff are going to be doing a lot of damage, and we are not going to be quite outspeeding the Raichu by then. It's a little unfortunate, but Surge is such that without his, he's a little inconsistent, so we're just going to luck past him, right? And if we have to take a reset or two, it'll still be faster than training enough to outspeed him. Okay, so this next stretch of the game, what's coming up? What's the next big threat? Well, the next big threat is the rival. Jesse and James are not a problem for Hitmonlee, but we're going to fight the rival first because Misty's a little scary. So we're going to fight the rival, Nugget Bridge, then circle back to Misty. We are taking on Misty before we go on the SSN, though. So for the rival on Nugget Bridge, I took quite a number of losses trying to get the proper luck that I needed for this because the Spearow is really scary. The Spearow has Stab, Fury, what's the move? Peck, as well as Fury Attack. Thank you, David's brain, for working. Fury Attack gets Stab because it's a normal flying type, and it actually can do quite a lot of damage if it's a multi-hit move and it hits more than like a couple times. So we're going to set up one Meditate, and then contextually, if we have enough health, we're going to set up a second one because that gives us a sweep for the whole team. But if we take a lot of damage on the first hit, and let's see, it's a Fury Attack, and it hits for, 4 times, that's too much. We got to take it out. We got to take our chances against the Sandshrew. I hate doing this because if it gets a chance to Sand Attack us, the rest of the fight can go very poorly. In this case, we got away with just a scratch, and then easy to go ahead and sweep the team, move on to the rest of Nugget Bridge. Mega Punch, funny enough, it doesn't really look like Hitmonlee should even be using Mega Punch. It looks like a Mega Kick user. It does learn Mega Kick via level up, but sadly, we will be using Mega Punch a lot until we get Body Slam, and we will not be using Mega Kick even once in the playthrough. So feels sad thematically. Feels like maybe I wish you'd gotten Mega Kick earlier through level up. Maybe it could be useful, but it won't be useful in this playthrough. However, we are using Double Kick, so at least we get to use the thematic move a little bit. And we're going to also be getting High Jump Kick. And you know what? This is a little bit of a slow stretch. Let's take a look at the move pool again. You'll see that we're beginning teaching Jump Kick as well as High Jump Kick later on. And High Jump Kick is a fantastic fighting move. Now, to level with you, it's 85 base power and 90% accurate. That doesn't sound great on paper, but if you compare it to Submission, which is the best move that a lot of fighting types get, or Low Kick is low base power and 90% accurate with a chance to flinch. Submission is 80 base power, 80% accurate, and you take recoil damage. So in the context of those being the other best fighting moves, High Jump Kick is absolutely fantastic. 85 base power, 90% accurate, no recoil damage. And that no recoil damage is really important for a Pokemon like Hitmonlee because a lot of times we're going to be on low health anyway with how frail he is. Now, you may notice that we have another move coming up soon, which is Seismic Toss. Why would you be using Seismic Toss? Well, it's because Hitmonlee does not have another way to hit Ghosts besides Seismic Toss or Bide. Now, in later generations, neither of those options would work, but in Gen 1, things that do fixed damage are going to hit Ghosts regardless of it being a fighting move. So Seismic Toss is going to help us get past the next stretch, but we are going to override it for Jump Kick. And interestingly, if you watch like some of the old bots, like from Scott, for instance, this is like maybe a year and a half ago, the traditional wisdom was that Seismic Toss is the best way to get past Agatha. Agatha is going to be difficult to get past in this playthrough. It is a big challenge for Hitmonlee to take on Agatha. Because of the type disadvantage, and some of her Pokemon know psychic moves as well, like Dream Eater and Psychic, which can do a just devastating amount of damage to our frail Hitmonlee. But I'm going to go with Mimic Lick, and we're going to talk more in depth about that strategy later. Traditionally, the strategy had always been using Seismic Toss in that fight, and then things like mimicking Substitute and using Rest to live longer and kind of slog through that fight. We're going to go for a much more aggressive style in that fight, but more on that once we get to Victory Road. Okay, I'm going to hide this run summary again, pull the badges back up in anticipation of fighting Misty soon. So we kind of breezed through Nugget Bridge. By the way, I'll mention now that this is not my first run or second run or third run with Hitmonlee. This is my 18th run with Hitmonlee. So this is a highly optimized playthrough. I know the damage ranges, maybe not exactly to the percentage, but I pretty much know the damage ranges for every single fight in this run. And I finished the run 12 times. So I saved at least 18 times, which means I got to at least Misty. That's when I take my first save of the playthrough, about 10 minutes in against Misty. And I actually completed 12 runs with Hitmonlee. This was my 12th. My best result leading into this playthrough was just under 42 minutes. It was 41 something. And I knew that if I got the luck I needed, I could do better than that. Sub 40 was kind of a stretch goal. I didn't know if that would be possible or not, but that was the goal, and that's the goal of this playthrough. So we'll see if I got it or not by the end of the playthrough. Okay, strategy for Misty. 3 meditates give us a 1-hit guaranteed on both the starfishes. There is a caveat to that. Misty's going to be randomizing her moves, and she can choose to use Harden, or she can use an X defend on the Starmie. Either way, that will give her enough health to survive a Mega Punch. I have to use Mega Punch because Double Kick is resisted. There you can see I got a miss, and then, okay, good damage. Okay, tackle, that's good. Water Gun down to 2 health, and I finally got another hit. So I missed 2 Mega Punches there out of 4, and I was like on the edge of my seat. I couldn't believe it. Why are the memes about 50, like, why is it Dynamic Punch? Why is it Dynamic Punch? It's 85% accurate. It's not supposed to be 50% accurate, but sometimes it feels like it is. Of course, I do know that it's 85% accurate. I got a lot of hits on Nugget Bridge. And when it is 50% accurate, a lot of times that ends up being a reset for a Pokemon with paper defenses like Hitmonlee has. So I would have had to start over if things had gone too wrong. That said, I did save in front of Misty. If I'd taken 1 or maybe even 2 quick resets, I would have continued the playthrough, because to level with you, we have a lot of fights later on that can go wrong. And the goal of sub 40 is not obtainable with just like a 0 reset run. Hitmonlee is going to take resets. It's not Blastoids. It's not a literal tank. It's not going to take a little bad luck here and there and have some unlucky ranges here and there and just be fine, just take a hit and keep on trucking. That is not Hitmonlee. Hitmonlee needs things to go right to win fights. And when a little something goes wrong, he can lose. Like I lost on Nugget Bridge sometimes getting hit by the Golbats, or not Golbats, Zubats. Zubats hit you with Supersonic, you hit yourself twice, and then before you know it, you haven't saved recently and your run is over. And it's like, okay, I guess I'm queuing up another one. That said, so far, we've gotten a really clean playthrough. I was very happy, but we're not out of the woods by any stretch of the imagination. We are still very early in this playthrough. You see that I take the time to teach Seismic Toss when I have my inventory open. I opened that up a while ago. I won't be using it except for the ghosts, or maybe for a little bit of chip damage here or there throughout the playthrough. But go ahead and teach it while you have the inventory open. Save a little bit of time with your bag. I do take this optional trainer to get the rare candy. I'll also be using some of the really efficient training in Silph later on. This rival is not really much of a threat, so not too worried about it. That said, I do take a lot of damage for a crit there, and then another crit, and I was this close to losing against the trash rival on SSN, which is hilarious, but sometimes that's how it is with Hitmonlee. Like, I didn't have quite full health going in, and then I got a little bit of bad luck. I was like 1 gen, 1 mess away there, or maybe even damage range away from losing that fight. And if I lost that fight, it's awful. Like that is the run's over, because I didn't save in front, and I would have gone all the way back to where Misty is and had to run down to the boat. Forget it. I would have just restarted the playthrough. It would have been sad, but that would have been a run killer. And there are lots of really interesting moments in this game, because Hitmonlee's run is in danger of dying pretty often. So if you're a little bit of an adrenaline junkie like I am, you can enjoy that. That said, I will be taking saves in front of the fights that I think have a reasonable potential of going wrong. And I will be skipping some saves too, so we'll see what happens. All right, here I will save in front of Surge. Like I mentioned, he is scary. Things can go wrong against Surge. He hits really hard. I'm going to use Body Slam first for the paralysis upside, and I get it, and that's really huge. So you could use Double Kick, and it does a little bit more damage, but if Body Slam is 2-hitting as well, obviously under speeding, it's really important to go for that Body Slam, get the 30% upside, and Surge is down at a time of 13:30. This is quite a quick pace, by the way, because optional training has been kept to a minimum. I had to fight the 1 optional battle to get Seismic Toss, so I have an answer to Ghost. I took 1 optional battle against the Hiker early on for that level 25 against Surge. If you skip him, you're like 2% short of the level, kind of painful, but getting to level 25 was really important there. If I'm at level 24, I am unlikely to 2-shot the Raichu. So it adds a whole extra turn to battle, which is just that much more chance for the Raichu to Mega Kick you, Thunderbolt crit you, etc., etc. Looking forward to the next stretch. This Oddish Blast is not a problem. For some Pokemon it is, but in this case, we have a high enough physical attack. We don't need any setup. We can just one-hit everything with Body Slams. Coming up soon, though, there are Slowpoke. Slowpoke are almost never a problem, and this is a common theme for Hitmonlee, where a lot of the places that are problems for other Pokemon, Hitmonlee really doesn't struggle at all. or rarely struggles. And then there are some places like the Slowpoke coming up, which can be quite difficult for Hitmonlee because of the trash special. We can't one-hit those. Actually, we can't even come close to one-hitting those. So we're going to set up a couple meditates against the Cubone here in order to get a one-hit range on the Slowpoke coming up next. The trainer after this, we won't have that luxury. We're going to be fighting the Slowpoke directly. So you'll see that I'm about to open my inventory, and even though I'm close to full health, I am going to heal here because it's that scary. Like, if it confuses me and I hit myself, I definitely lose, but it's a range for Body Slam to hit. And in this case, I don't get it. It's on a sliver, and I made a mistake there. It's a small one, but I used an additional Body Slam there. I should have switched to Seismic Toss to get the KO, because now with only 2 Body Slams left, I have 3 Rasp Pokemon, and at some point I'm going to have to use a resisted move to knock them out. That said, we're happy that we got past the Slowpokes. I did have a run end a couple times at that Slowpoke trainer because I got the 10% confusion, hit myself, and it's all over. One thing to note is they are Psychic types, so Double Kick is not better there. I would have loved to have switched to Double Kick for the second attack to try to get more damage, but no such luck. Okay, let's talk about strategy for the next section. What do we do next? Well, we have the tools that we need for the tower, so that's good. But before that, we're going to have to pick up some vitamins. So which vitamins make sense? Well, in most cases, it's a Carbos for Pokemon that aren't really fast. But Hitmonlee is pretty decently fast and has a badge boosting move, so that if you plan your experience properly, you'll never be outsped. So we won't need Carbos. The next most common vitamin is calcium. Calcium can be very important because they boost both the special defense and offense as a unified stat in Gen 1. In this case, it could be better for survivability here and there, but for the most part, we're really just looking to sweep and set up quickly and go and not take a lot of hits. And I couldn't find any place where it was really important where you barely survive something. So we're going to be going with protein. Now, offensive stats are really important. Typically, there are diminishing returns where you actually don't get that much benefit from boosting already your best stat. In this case, we already have 120 attack, so boosting it with additional proteins is not going to help us that much. But looking at the damage ranges, I do think it was the most important one to get of our options, because I saw it impact some damage ranges, give us a few better percentage points here and there. And so I went with that. One thing to note is I will be picking up the Pokeball for Mimic. That's super important. Since I've given up my only other way to hit Ghosts, I'm going to need to Mimic Lick against Agatha later on. And you'll see I pick up 2 protein, go down to 94 Pokedollars. Yes, this was planned. I knew I had just enough money to buy 2 proteins, and off we go. Actually, I skimped. I would love to have a little bit more money, actually, but you have to buy a lot of potions early on, and then a few super potions to get through your training. You see I'm actually down to 1 super potion, and I have some mid-game training coming up, which I will be doing in Silph. The first playthrough I had, I went left instead of right, and wait, left and right are reversed. Oh, well. I went left instead of right to do my optional training. Oh, let's not skimp past this guy. Let's mention real quick, 1 meditate is free. The Firo is locked into mirror move. So 1 meditate and then clear everything. And then for the next section, we'll be using exclusively Seismic Toss. All the ghosts are 2 hits, and we'll just hope to not get unlucky. That sort of comment, hope to not get unlucky, I don't like saying that. I use that like very sparingly. I think so often people use luck as a crutch to be like, well, you know, I just got unlucky, when the strategy was suboptimal. It's really easy to say, oh, well, I got so unlucky, like blah, 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 this happened and that happened. When usually if you're getting unlucky lots of times in a playthrough, it's because your strategies were poor. That said, the other side of that coin is sometimes there really isn't a way to optimize the strategy. In this case, the only reasonable thing to do is use Seismic Toss. The only way we could train for it more is to get more levels and more hit points, and that doesn't really make any sense. So we just kind of hope for the best. By the way, I didn't save here, so if I take a blackout, I have a tough choice on whether to try to keep playing down a lot of time or just restart my whole playthrough. But I didn't want to save here, and the reason is because I don't have a lot of extra repels. So even if I saved ahead of time, if you don't know, you lose your repel, even if you resume from save. It doesn't save that you, oh my god, and I almost lost that fight. 10 health, paralyzed, barely got through that fight. See, it's terrifying with Hitmonlee. You never know when you're about to lose. But if I had saved ahead of it, and then I took a reset, then I would have encountered a bunch of wild Pokemon because I wouldn't have had an active repel, or I would have had to use one of my repels that wasn't allocated for this part of the game, and then I would have had to go back to a center later and heal, or not heal, but buy more repels. And at that point, we're just deviating so far from what an optimal playthrough is that it doesn't resemble a speedrun anymore. So I am trying to speed run this game, right? It's a solo speed run. So going fast is important, and too many detours are bad. Okay, back to what I was saying before. I want to circle back on this point. In the past, especially in my first playthrough, I thought, let's go to Biker Road first. Let's take a left, but instead I'm taking a right, and I'm going to Silph to train because the bikers are actually scary for Hitmonlee. The coughing and the wheezing are very defensive, and they do a surprising amount of damage with their stab poison moves. And yeah, I took a ton of damage. I can't remember if I lost or if I just went on like low health and poison and I had to fly back with my tail between my legs, but it was really bad. So I decided to train this way instead. And there are a lot of good trainers in Silph, even though you can see it's scary to fight here too. Like that Machoke did so much damage. Usually the Machoke is never a problem. And I used my last super potion there. Now I do have a full restore still, but this is a little bit of an uncomfortable spot because I have a few more trainers to get through, and Hitmonlee is going to take some damage because all of these trainers require either two-hitting something or setting up a turn to meditate in order to sweep everything. So this Golbat's a 2-hit. It hits me with Confuse Ray. Luckily for me, I don't hit myself there, but I do hit myself here. So I'm down to 47 health, and I don't have a super potion left, and I still have like 2 or 3 more trainers to beat. So I him and Hall for a second, and I'm like, okay, it'll be fine. Let me get through this one and then use the full restore afterwards. I set up and meditate, and Hyper Fang crit me, and it's a blackout. And you saw that I hesitated for a second there, and I thought, do I keep playing? Because usually a blackout is so awful. Like, it's so bad. It's like probably 2 or 3 resets bad. Because look, I have to send in all my HM users. They get knocked out. I'm not at the right Poké Center anymore, so I have to fly back to the location and walk back to the trainer. This cost me about 50 seconds of real time. And that's about 2 or 3 resets worth. Now, unfortunately, I don't have a blackout counter right now. I have a reset counter, and the resets say 0. But we should really think of that as more of like a 2 or a 3. And at this point, I will mention, going into this playthrough, my mindset was that we probably need 4 or 5 resets at the most to hit the goal of sub 40. So at this point, I know that it's still possible to go sub 40, but I've just lost a lot of my cushion because we got really good luck in the early game. Misty and Surge went very smooth, got past everything, even the slow pokes, all that. We got the luck we needed, but that was really bad. Getting crit there was unexpected. It used its best move, and now that cushion that I had is gone. It's got to be a clean playthrough from here out. I might be able to take 1 or 2 quick resets, but that's about it. Okay. One more optional trainer here will get me to level 35. That is my last optional trainer for quite a while, I think until Victory Road. And about to slam 5 rare candies to go to level 40. There's an interesting choice, by the way, when you route this. Looking at the damage ranges against Rival 5, Rival 5 is a big threat because the Sand Slash knows Slash, which will 2-hit you, unless you go to a really high level. Or it can use Sand Attack, which will usually end up in a loss because you'll miss attacks. You can fight him at level 35 and have a chance at winning if you set up 2 meditates, but it is very dangerous. In this case, I thought it was better to go up to level 40. That requires 1 setup of meditate, and then you 2-hit the Sand Slash with body slams, and then the rest of the team is a sweep. It's a 1-hit with 1 meditate set up. Of course, you could also choose to go a much higher level than this, perhaps like level 45 or so you don't need any setup, and that would be even more consistent. But what I'm trying to do here is balance risk and reward the best that I possibly can. I thought level 40 was the best risk and reward play to win most of the time without doing too much optional training, which is definitely going to be a time bleed. So I save here, and I'm going to set up 1 meditate and then body slam the Sand Slash, and I'm hoping that it uses its worst moves. So it starts off and goes Poison Sting. That's great. It doesn't matter that it crits. That doesn't do too much. And then Swift. Perfect. So I've got a lot of health to work with, and the rest of the team should be a 1-hit, assuming I don't get any misses. Jump Kick is 95% accurate, and it's a range on that Magneton, but I got the range. Kadabra is a guaranteed 1-hit, as long as you don't get hit with a Sand Attack earlier. And then the Flareon goes down, which is also a range, but a favorable one. So that felt great. I was feeling a little down about the chances after taking a blackout, but after getting through Rival 5 clean, I'm thinking, okay, maybe it's not so bad, but we've still got a reasonable chance at sub 40 if we do well the rest of the way. Giovanni is not that big of a problem, but, and I don't want to sound like a broken record here, we have to respect every trainer with Hitmonlee because of our defense. So I am going to fight him on half health and hope for the best. The Nidoqueen is the scariest one because it's not going to go down to 1-hit. Even with a meditate setup, it's going to be a 2-hitter. And she also knows body slam, so it can be quite dangerous. But thankfully, the rest of the team is a 1-hit after 1 meditate. So Nidoqueen gets 1 chance, 1 opportunity. What will she do with it? She will not get a chance. She will get guard spec'd from Giovanni. Okay, so that one wasn't too bad. Now there's an opportunity to fight Erica next. You'll notice that I am biking over to the Safari Zone first, though. I do like to delay this, if I can, until after I'm level 37 or higher. The reason for that is you don't want to get caught by Pokemon in the tall grass. There are level 36 Nidoran in the Safari Zone. And let's see if I can pick up a rare candy in the grass. Can I do it? Oh, third time? Third time's the charm. Little unfortunate there. That was pretty sloppy. I haven't really figured out why that happens, why sometimes he grabs it and sometimes he doesn't. But thankfully I didn't run into the little trainer. That's actually the worst. When you try to grab the rare candy and it takes your pedal off the brake, and then you run into the trainer right underneath and then fight an optional trainer that you didn't want. That's a time sink, but thankfully none of that today. And yeah, here I'm level 42. So I'm going to go through here with no fear of running into things in the grass. I almost picked up that Carbos. Then I remembered I don't need it. There's a lot of time bloat that can happen when you just pick up items that are generally good. I'd say this is something that most of the community can improve on as far as speedrunning. Even people who put up fantastic times, a lot of them will pick up items because, oh, they're generally good. Like this protein is generally good. This Carbos is generally good. However, you do shave seconds, and those seconds can matter when you only pick up exactly the items that you need. And that is what we were doing in this playthrough. I do not pick up a single item that I don't intend to use. I picked up a Hyper Potion earlier, and I used it. I picked up a few vitamins, and each of those vitamins helped. There's one more Carbos coming up, and this last Carbos will be helpful. There are 3 available in the overworld, and I only need 2 to outspeed Giovanni's Persian and the Dog Trio in the final gym. So every sort of item that you pick up should have a specific purpose, not, oh, this is usually good. No, it actually needs to help somewhere. Okay, so Erica will be easy. 1 Meditate is a clean sweep on her whole team with Body Slam, and that 1 setup turn, the Tangela really can't do much. Even if it gets a speed drop off on you, Hitmonlee will still be fast enough to outspeed everything on the team, so no problems there. And then Koga is coming up next after Erica. I will mention, by the way, that the Erica split was 26 minutes and 12 seconds. That doesn't sound impressive, but keep in mind that Rival 5 was already taken out, and the rest of the gems will be coming in quick succession. There's not a lot of optional training to do in between. Why did I fly here, you wonder? It's because I'm picking up Mimic. This was an important addition to my strategy. At first, when I first played Hitmonlee, I thought, okay, I need to train quite a bit for Koga because Koga is very scary. Koga not only has psychic types in the gym, but also uses psychic moves with all of its Pokemon. And if you remember, Venonat is a bug type which resists fighting. So we really don't want to use fighting moves, so we're going to have to use Body Slam. And then Body Slam, you have to be at a very high level to knock out the Venonats in one hit. Even with 1 or 2 Meditates, you have to be up to level 48 with 2 Meditates to get a sweep on all the Venonats and the Venomoth. However, if you mimic Sleep Powder, you can get a free setup. The Venonats are locked into using psychic moves. If you can survive 1 or 2 moves, get Meditate set up 3 times, you can get a clean sweep. Importantly, I'm at 105 speed, which is 2 more than the Venomoth at 103 speed. So here I do save because things can go wrong. You can miss a Sleep Powder a couple times. You can get a critical hit and not get the damage you need. And I Gen 1 missed a Mimic. I couldn't believe it. If you've never seen that before, it is possible to Gen 1 miss a Mimic, and that's what it does. It just says it fails. You didn't get to Mimic. Fortunately, though, I was able to just barely tank 2 Psychics. I get set up, and now I will get past if I don't crit the Venomoth, which happens way more than you think it should, but in this case, it does not. So I'm through. I beat Koga despite the Gen 1 miss. By the way, it is scary because the Venonats can still crit you, or you can get a special drop with the first hit, and then they can hit you a second time, and then the Psychic will knock you out. So it's not a perfectly consistent fight, but there is a little bit of wiggle room, and we used all the wiggle room we had. Coming up next, there's a question, should it be Blaine, should it be Sabrina? A lot of times I like to do Blaine first because I'll take the special boost with me into the Sabrina fight. In this case, I'm making the opposite choice for 2 reasons. One is that the experience lines up better. I'm going to go just over 46 when I fight Sabrina. The other reason is that even with the special boost, Hitmonlee's defense, like its HP and its special defense are so bad that if you get hit with the psychic move, you're going down the 1 hit anyway. It doesn't matter if you have the special boost or not. So the plan is just set up 1 Meditate. That'll give me the outspeed on the Alakazam, and then favorable range on the Alakazam as well, and a guaranteed 1 hit on the other 2 Pokemon. The only thing that can go wrong is Flash can ruin my accuracy, but in this case, it doesn't. And so you can see I level up to 46. Now, what I should do here is use at least 1 rare candy. I have 2 in the bag. I should use that in order to get to level 47 or 48. There are Raticate in the mansion at level 46, and you do not want to run into these Raticate. Hitmonlee is fast enough to run away without too much problem, but there can be a small time bleed there if you run into one. In this case, spoiler alert, I'm going to make a mistake. I forget to use the rare candy, and I'm going to navigate, and I will not be punished. I'm very lucky. No Raticate shows up this time to annoy me. That Carbos, by the way, was right on the way, so I picked it up. The one in the Safari Zone is a little further out of the way, which is why I made the choice to skip that other one. Okay. Let's talk about strategy for Blaine. Blaine is scary. I'm going to go up to level 50, and the reason for that is that it gives me a guaranteed one hit with high jump kick, which I'm about to learn at level 48, against the first two Pokemon. The Arcanine is so tanky that I have to spend a long time setting up for it or choose to two-hit it. Now, I'm not sure if what I chose was the optimal strategy. I think it certainly makes some sense, but it's a little bit risky. I could have chosen to train more or try to set up twice with Meditate. Instead, I thought the best risk-reward was going to be to knock out the first two with only one Meditate, take the two-hit chances against the Arcanine and hope for the best. Fire Blast is arranged to knock me out from full health from the Arcanine. So this is a scary fight. This is one where things can go wrong, and that's why I'm taking it seriously going up to level 50. High jump kick, by the way, 5% less accurate. It's 90% accurate instead of 95% accurate. It's a bit unfortunate, but what are you going to do? It's more damage, and more damage is always worth considering. Here, I go ahead and set up, and the 10% miss. Okay, I take a little chip damage. Still okay, but the Arcanine is scary here, and Flamethrower. Flamethrower crit me. I don't know if it would have KO'd without the crit. I think it might have been a range from there. But okay, reset down. Let's see. Let's try it again. I'm going to go for a Meditate and high jump kick. Okay, this time I don't miss. High jump kick only does 1 damage and recoil hilariously if you miss, but it is kind of funny. Here I go for body slam for the crit upside, or the paralysis upside rather. But then when I get a reflex set up there, I don't go for 2 body slams. I decide to switch to high jump kick, which has another benefit. The math is a little fuzzy there. I'm not sure which is right, because in this case, it helped out a lot. Blaine used a super potion. I was able to finish, and I don't think that would have been the case if I'd used body slam twice. However, of course, body slam did have paralysis upside. I think because I'm already outspeeding the Arcanine, I probably made the correct choice. But like I said, the math is a little bit fuzzy there. Coming up next is Giovanni. I'll mention that my rule set for myself is just slightly different than that of Scott's thoughts. Scott chooses to allow mimicking double team in this fight with the Persian. I don't like any kind of evasion moves. I think that it's less interesting. I think it's less interesting. So even like the dig fly paralysis glitch, I consider that evasion, and I'm not allowing that in my runs personally. Although I certainly will use whatever strategy Scott uses when I'm helping him optimize playthroughs. So here, importantly, I will not be mimicking anything. Instead, I'm going to set up after knocking out both the Persian and the Dugtrio because they're pretty scary. And then 1 Meditate gives me 2 hit ranges with Body Slam on both of the Nidos. There I level up. I was hit with a Leer, so my defenses are softened up a little bit, and you see how much damage that Earthquake did from the Nido, but I do hold on, and then it's a favorable range against the Rhydon with high jump kick, not guaranteed, but favorable. It has very high defenses, but Hitmonlee with the boosted +1 attack and the super effective high jump kick is able to get it done, and we're feeling very good at this point. A quick glance at the clock shows 32 minutes and about 30 seconds as we approach Rival 6. That means that this is possible still to go sub 40 if we get the requisite late game luck that we need. This fight itself is not too bad. In fact, I probably could have skipped the save here. I think that setting up 2 Meditates here is not very scary because this Sandslash is about as bad as it's ever going to be. Even with a miss there, it's okay. It doesn't know Earthquake yet, so it doesn't have its scariest move, and it doesn't have Sand Attack anymore. So we're kind of in that sweet spot where it's kind of a trash Pokemon just for one fight. And then the rest of these are one hits, assuming that we don't get any misses. It's nice to one hit and outspeed a Kadabra. It's a good thing that Hitmonlee is fast. And in this case, we had a couple badge boosts as well. And you see we're at 53 and almost 54 for the level. Here, we'll talk about what we need to win the game. Favorable ranges against the champion are harder to come by because the champion is quite a bit harder than Rival 6. So I am going to be taking on just a couple of optional trainers as well as picking up the Victory Road candy. Victory Road training is the most efficient training in the game. It's kind of a luxury to be able to use it because a lot of times you need training earlier on just to get past the other gym leaders. But in this case, Hitmonlee has the answers he needs and benefits from just a couple extra levels near the end. So I will be taking on a couple optionals. While I do that, I'm going to bring back up the run summary. As you see that we've got 1 rare candy left, which I'm going to use right before Lance. But mainly that's for the champion, to be level 60 for the champion fight. Let's talk about our strategy for fighting the Elite Four. First of all, Lorelei has some scary Pokemon, but thankfully the Dugong is going to want to use Rest a lot because it sees that Psychic is super effective with AI Modification 3, also known as good AI, which is oftentimes not very good. it's going to try to use rest a lot against Hitmonlee. And that's a good thing for us, because if we can get set up with a couple meditates for free against that Dugong, the rest of the way is going to be quite easy. +2 gives us a one hit on everything besides Lorelei's Slowbro, which is quite tanky and resists fighting type moves. So we're going to have to body slam it down. So if we can get past the Dugong on full health, we're fine. If we have to get through on partial health, it's going to be a little sketchy. Next is Bruno. We don't need to talk about Bruno. Next after that is Agatha. Here's where I'd like to get on my soapbox, but I will keep it short and sweet. The people who complain about bad luck oftentimes try to just hammer their way through and get good luck, or say it's impossible, and then they'll just, do some other Pokemon instead, or train too much. Here's what Redriosi and I were able to find when we analyzed the damage ranges. If you set up one Meditate against the first Gengar, and of course Mimic Lick, you have about a 40%, you do about 40% damage to the Gengar. That means if it sets up Substitute, you can 2-hit it after breaking the Substitute with Lick and one Meditate setup. That's a total of 4 turns. That's not too bad. You can survive 4 turns most of the time against that Gengar. Then that gets you to the Golbat. Once you get to the Golbat, you have a couple options. You can either set up to +3, which gives you 1 hits on the rest of the team, except a 2-hit on the final Gengar. Or you can set all the way up to +6 attack and 1-hit everything. There are pluses and minuses to it, and I think it makes sense to play contextually, depending on how much health you have left. By the way, Agatha can also switch into Golbat too. You can decide, okay, do I have enough health to play with? Do I want to set all the way up to +6, or do I set up to +3 and take my chances against the last Gengar? So we've got some really interesting strategic decisions to make on the fly. And let's look now at our fight against Lorelei. Okay, bad luck there. It got an attack drop and it did damage to us. We were hoping for rest. I did an immediate reset because I don't want to waste any more time on that fight. That's a very bad position to play through. Let's try one more time. I'm going to do some chip damage, hoping it uses rest and gives me a couple turns to set up because +2 is really what I want. I'm going to go ahead and set up +2. High jump kick. This will be a 1-hit, except that I miss, and then I get hit again and another attack drop. But I don't know how much wiggle room I have here, so I decided to play this out. Now I need to get lucky. I need to win the 50-50 against Slowbro. It can hit us with Psychic, but it chooses to use Amnesia instead. I won the coin flip, and then I had the presence of mind, thankfully, when it's forced to set up on turn 2 to use another Meditate, get up to +2 like I needed to get the 1-hit range on the Lapras. So we clutched that one out, and we're moving on, boys, to the Bruno and girls and non-binaries. I don't want to be exclusive here. Okay, I'm moving some inventory stuff. I'm putting the healing items at the front, which are the elixir and the full restores. I probably shouldn't have saved for Bruno. You don't need to save for Bruno. If you lose, you lose. But I did have a good time going. But you look at 37 minutes. There's 3 trainers left. 4 trainers left, actually. It's kind of sketchy. Probably shouldn't have saved there, because you never know that like 5 seconds that it takes to save could be the difference between hitting your goal and not hitting your goal. And you can see this was like, what a joke. Bruno didn't even damage me. All right. Agatha, this is the moment of truth. Let's see if we can do it. Mimic Lick, set up at least one Meditate, and then fight contextually after that. Let's see. Mimic, Lick, Mega Drain is good. Meditate, and then Paralysis. Instant restart. We reset. We don't want to. We can't win paralyzed. Let's try again. You see, I move a little bit. I want to change. I'm bobbing and weaving, trying to change my RNG seed. I'm up again. Let's see. Mimic, Lick. Okay. No paralysis. One Meditate. Set up Substitute. This is the scenario we talked about. Let's break it. And she switches into Golbat. That gives us extra time. Okay, we can set up. Can I set up to +6 here? I hesitated for a second. I'm like, yes, even with Toxic, I think I can set up to +6 here and go for the full sweep on everything. I'm going to go for, Lick, because she switched back in. But a crit, that's unlucky. 35 health. One more Toxic count is going to take me out. I can't afford to miss another damage range. I do have 1 hits on the rest of the Pokemon, but I need to not get an unlucky crit. And against this last Gengar, can I do it with the Lick? And I can. Guaranteed 1 hit, 102% damage with a minimum roll as long as I didn't crit there. Crits bypass everything and would have caused a loss if I had gotten a crit. Thankfully, I didn't. I'm on to Lance. We didn't talk Lance strategy, but 1 Meditate and mimicking Hyper Beam is enough to get past the Gyarados. After the Gyarados, the Dragonite are a little less threatening. Gives me time to set up to +2. +2 is what I need to take out the Dragonite and the Aerodactyl. Here, so far so good. 117 health is pretty good. Hyper Beam on that one. I'm going to set up 1 more Meditate. Wrap is fine. Wrap is just wasting a little bit of time, but not too bad. High jump kick, please don't miss. Aerodactyl would definitely take me out. Okay, good. And then Dragonite, Hyper Beam, 80% chance to 1 hit, and we got it. Champion fight. We have 1 minute left. Can we do it? Champion fight takes 1 Meditate, and then we knock out the Sand Slash with 2 body slams. Or if we get a low roll contextually, we might have to switch to high jump kick, and then we should be able to 1 hit everything else. So it's a favorite fight, but things can go wrong. The Executor can also sleep us. So let's see. One meditate, poison sting. Okay, we got poisoned. All right, that's probably fine. Body slam looks like a low roll. Gonna have to switch to high jump kick in order to get the knockout. And okay, Alakazam's a one hit, no problem there. Body slam is a guarantee, even if it crits. Executor. Oh wait, it can't sleep us. I'm poisoned. It can't sleep us. We should be good. I just need to not miss. High jump kick is 90% accurate. And the cloister, it's super effective damage. We got it. Last one. Oh wait, this is it's already over. Even if we miss, the Flareon only knows reflect that it's going to use against us because it's a psychic type move. And we're through 39-42. This run felt so good. Shout out to Elite Four Alex and to Axio Carriosora, who had been rooting for this for a while. Axio especially, Hitmon free baby, and we got through. This is a W under 40 minutes. They watched it with me live while it happened, and I hope you enjoyed this video. I know I had a lot of fun making it, and I will catch you guys later.